I know. I know. All right, if you're wondering about a growth coming out of my ear, thank Michael for it. Oh, it's a microphone. This gives new meaning to talking out your ear. Turn to Genesis chapter 19. Genesis chapter 19, find verse 15. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, take them out of this place. Mike, put that up on screen, can you? Because I left my glasses. Verse 15, and when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy two daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his two daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zor. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zor. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew up upon the ground. I'll be like Dr. Stanley next. I'll have me a chair up here sitting in it. It's probably coming. You have heard the term, no doubt, it's used a lot today, about somebody being a loser. A loser. I sought out a definition for the term, and I found out a loser is described as someone who just habitually loses. They're just a loser. It's not a very nice term. grant you. It usually has very evil connotation. Lot, who is the subject this morning, Lot was a loser. I would define him as a loser. There's three things Lot lost. And they kind of get progressive. They tend to get worse and worse and worse. Let's look at them. Just three things. The first thing that got my attention when I read this text was that Lot lost his faith. Lot lost his faith. Have you ever thought where you and I would be without faith? If we had to live our life and govern our life, everything we did based on what we could do, what we knew we could do, and not exercise faith. Have you ever considered how miserable life would be? That's why we should pity those who claim to be agnostic, who don't believe in God. Because to know God and to have a relationship with Him requires faith. There must be faith. I accepted the Lord Jesus Christ because I heard in the Bible that I was lost. I mean, my name was in there. It might have been a whosoever, but I was lost and under condemnation. And I heard that. But I also heard that God loved me. And that He gave His Son to die for me. And if I would just put my trust in Him, my sin problem could be taken care of. And I did that. You know how I did it? I did it by faith. I did it by faith. We would be miserable if we did not have. And I'm not even getting into the practical things, just the everyday things. You'll leave here, Lord's will. You'll leave here in a while and most of you will head either back home or go someplace to go out and eat. You'll do that by faith. Faith that your car will get you there. Faith that somebody won't run over you. Faith that wherever you're going for lunch, something will be ready. We would be miserable without faith. And Lot lost his. Being the nephew of Abraham, who, by the way, the Bible calls the father of faith, that would have meant that Lot had an excellent example as he watched his uncle Abraham. I don't doubt for a moment, every day that Lot saw Abraham, he saw him exercise faith. What an example. Many of us have had earthly examples like that in our lives. We can reflect back and remember, maybe even in our parents' life, when things were tough. And we didn't know if we was going to be able to pay the bills. Didn't know if there was going to be anything to eat. And some precious mom or dad said, son, God will provide. God will provide. And that's especially true when we go back a generation and go into our grandparents' life who lived through the Depression and times when they didn't know if they were going to survive, but they did. They did it because they had faith. What an example Lot had. Just by watching Uncle Abraham. But he lost it. He lost it. Look again in verse 16. And while he, Lot, lingered, the men here are angels that were sent from God to warn Lot to get out of Sodom and Gomorrah, laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. I read that and it just amazed me. Did you see the picture here? God, before He destroyed that wicked set of twin cities, before He did that, He gave opportunity. And the opportunity was for righteous Lot. Saved Lot. His faith in shambles, but righteous Lot, a saved man. He said, go down there and warn him. God said, I'm going to destroy this place. He needs to get out. And after the warning was given, the angel, the men, had to take the hand of Lot and basically drag them out of the city. Verse 17, and it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. The men of God told Lot and his family, get out of here. Get away. Don't stay nearby. Go into a mountain region, or you'll be destroyed. Now watch this. Now remember, we're talking about Lot lost his faith. Verse 18. And Lot said unto them, oh, not so, my Lord. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shown unto me in saving my life. Watch this. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. He tells the messenger sent from heaven, thank you so much for sharing this message with me. You've spared my life, but I can't go up on that mountain. Because if I go up on that mountain, something will kill me. How fickle. How fickle the faith of Lot. And you know what? We're not one bit different. You know, we sit back in our ecclesiastical robes and we talk about being people of faith and people of the book, and we just believe God for everything by faith. And so many times the first little thing that comes up, we just fall all to pieces. We just fall all to pieces. Rather than just saying, well, God, I'm going to trust you through this. Now, there's a lot of people that do. I was very, very touched by the words of Sharon this morning. Very touched. And it's very obvious to me that she has a sister who walks and lives by faith. And God has brought her by faith through so many things in her life. And I've got an ideal. The one that's hurting as much as anybody is Sharon and her mom. I've got an ideal. Your sister's faith is very, very strong, Sharon. I really do. We're praying for her. We talk a good talk. We talk about how strong our faith is. And then when something comes up, we just fall all apart. That's what happened to Lot. He lost his faith. Second, he lost his finances. He lost his finances. If you go back to chapter 13, and you don't have to, but if you want to read it sometime, if you read chapter 13 of the same book, you will find out that both Abraham and Lot were very, very successful, financially speaking. They had large herds. They had very, very big holdings. They were wealthy people. They were the kind of people that others would have looked at and said, obviously God has blessed those people, because that was the thinking so much in that day and time. Now there's a little funny story that goes on in chapter 14. Lot, who's all the time making bad choices, Lot makes a bad choice and he loses everything he has to an evil king. Everything he has, it's gone. Up comes Uncle Abraham, the man of faith, and he challenges that evil king. And he said, "You did not do right by my nephew." And he overpowers him and restores everything that Lot had. How many of you would like to have an uncle like that? Isn't that something? Gives a new meaning to the rich uncle, right? Many, many flocks Lot possessed. When he went into Sodom, he had them with him. Guess what? When he left Sodom, he didn't have anything. Anything but his wife and his family. And that's about to fall apart. It amazes me sometimes the way people live. They garner up everything they can. Stockpile. They work their fingers to the bone that they might accumulate things, thinking somehow they're going to take them with them. It's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It isn't going to happen. I've held a lot of funerals in my life, and I've never seen a hearse yet that had a trailer hitch on the back of it to put stuff in it. It wouldn't do any good. You can't take it with you. And if you're even as strange as some people who said, "I'll take mine with me, I'll bury it with me." Well, what good did it do? Not a bit. Not a bit. Lot lost his faith. Tragic. He lost his finances. He came out of Sodom and Gomorrah a broke man. But let me give you the worst one of all. This was his biggest loss. Lot lost his family. He lost his family. Even though the men of God gave very, very explicit directions to Lot, who was to pass them on to the family concerning this point. When you come out of this place, do not look back. Do not look back. I wondered about that for years. Why'd God say that? I can't really give you anything which is scriptural that I can go to and say, right, here's the reason God. No. You know what I think it was about? I think it was about separating from that lifestyle, separating from it. And by looking back, it in many ways implied that I may be out here, but my heart is still back there. So God said, don't look back. Verse 26. But Lot's wife, looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Crystallized, hard salt. I've never been one that wanted to put my mistakes on somebody else. I don't like to blame other people for the things that I have done. But I'm going to tell you something. Now, she made her own choice. Lot did not turn her around. She did that on her own. But let me tell you something. I think that Lot had to share some of the responsibility. I really do. Because he had lived such, watch this, he had lived such a shallow Christian life that his wife did not respect him enough to heed his warning. You see, the man of God gave the message to Lot. He was the head of the household. It was his job to share it with the family, and he did. And because he had been so weak in his devotions and in every other spiritual aspect of his life, his wife wouldn't even listen to him. It gets worse. It gets worse. Fast forward, chapter 19, verse 31. His wife is gone. All he has left are 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Watch this. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. It's horrible. The daughters of Lot get together. And they said, our seed will stop right here. The only way we can carry it on is to go in and lie with our father. Have sexual relations with our dad. That's called incest, ladies and gentlemen. Incest. As a result, verse 36, thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. Remember, I said Lot lost his family. His wife did not respect him enough to listen to his warning. His daughters did not respect their father enough to not go in and commit some abominable sin. By the way, if you'll do a little research and find out the offspring of these children, these daughters, you'll find that both of them are warring, rebellious tribes who were a constant thorn in the flesh of Israel all the way through. Oh, their seed was preserved. Yeah. And it spawned or produced evil, wicked people who fought the children of God all through their history. Lot was a loser. He really was. He lost his faith. Where's your faith today? Do you talk a good talk? What about when it's crunch time? Can you just say, God, this is in your hands? I don't know anything else to do. I don't know anything else to do. And we do that sometimes when we have cancer or when we have something like that. What about it when it's financial or when it's our children or something else? The same thing applies. Where's your faith? Lot lost his finances. Folks, Jesus said, don't be so consumed with laying up treasure down here. It's going to rust. Moths are going to get in and destroy it. It's not going to have any value whatsoever. He said, lay up treasures in heaven. In heaven. How about it, Dad? If God gave you a message from heaven and you knew it was from God, and it had to do with some kind of impending doom, does your family respect you enough that you could go as the head of the household and say, I got a word from God? Or would they laugh at you? I don't want to be a loser this morning. I hope you don't either. Let's bow.